everyone, my name is Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to a very unique video. Today I'm going to be ripping out this sweater, or frogging it as it's sometimes called, because when you rip something it makes ripping sounds, like rip it, like a frog. In case you didn't know, that's where that comes from. But I'm going to be taking the sweater out for reasons that I will tell you in just a moment. But to make it entertaining, I'm also going to be answering some questions that I have from Instagram. These are actually questions that you guys submitted a few weeks ago when I did a live video, and I got to ask them to you. So now I'm going to be answering them. Some of them we didn't get to at all. Some of them we did talk about, but I'm just gonna go through as many as I can while I rip out this sweater. So let's talk about why I am ripping it out. So this sweater is the Ruffled Romance sweater by Coco Crochet Lee. It is not at all in any shape or form the designer's fault why I am ripping this sweater out. It is a beautiful pattern and a beautiful sweater. I have just completely made it in the wrong size, as you can see, because it's literally falling off my shoulder right now. So I am going to show you guys how this thing fits me and tell you a little bit about it, and then we're going to start ripping. Okay, I crocheted this starting back in February of 2019, and I was lucky enough to be a test crocheter for Lee. It was a lot of fun, but in the rush to finish it, I really didn't make it right for me. That's something that I've definitely learned, especially with garments or with anything in the past year, is if it's not going right, stop and take the time to fix it. You will not regret it. You will only regret moving forward on something that is not right. But yes, let me show you how this thing fits. So I have definitely made completely the wrong size. It is so big in the sleeves because this is a circular yoke that makes it big, like in the sleeves, also in the back. I mean, if you're a woman, you know your back is flatter than your front most of the time, and so all that extra material just clings or just gathers in the back, looks really sloppy and really messy. The armpits are way too low, like I can literally lift the entire sweater up and fold the sleeves over, and honestly just doing that gives it a way better fit. But obviously I can't just cut out that extra material. This is work from the top down, so it would need an entire remake in order to make it fit correctly, which I'm not planning to do at the time. I'll talk about what I am planning to do with the yarn at the end once it's all frogged. But I am taking it out. I actually have taken it halfway out before. I did have an issue with the body. As you can see, the body actually fits really nicely now. It's definitely a tighter fit than most things that I do wear and make, but it does fit me really well because I customized it for me. So for the designer, when she designed it, her body type is different than mine, and the design has no shaping in the body. And I've just learned that for my body, like, that is not going to work. I have to have A-line shaping. So from basically the bust to my hips, I just do an increase, like an increase that's pretty spaced out all the way down. And then when I'm wearing it, it doesn't look A-line. It just looks like it almost looks straight. But if I take it off, which I will do in a second, you'll see that there's A-line shaping and it fits my body just so much better. So that is one thing I did need to change, but I would not say that that is any fault to the pattern. That's just my body type, and I need to adjust patterns in that way if they don't have shaping in them. So this pattern, I would highly recommend it. It's so fun to make, it's fast, it's beautiful. I did change the gauge on mine. So instead of using, I can't remember, it's recommended a heavier weight than I used a fingering weight. I needed 4 skeins, and I think I had some left over. If I made it again, I would have more left over because I would not need all of this material here in the sleeves, and it would go a lot faster. I would definitely make this again. I just don't plan on using this yarn for it and making it again right away, since I kind of have made it 1.5 times already. But would definitely recommend it for you guys. And I used a beautiful yarn, which is why I want to rip it out and reclaim it, because I'm just not wearing this sweater. I feel like it makes me look like a football player because I have just chosen the wrong size, and I have huge shoulders and sleeves when I wear this. I promise you, it looks good on all the other testers and everyone who's made it since, because they probably picked the right size and didn't mess with the gauge. So lesson learned here. But I use Madeline Tosh Twist Light in the colorway Copper Pink, and I did alternate my yarns throughout to make it look very blended. So I was even though it didn't work out great, I was pretty pleased with myself because this is one of the first crocheted garments I've ever made. I am definitely more of a knitter, but I really like how this turned out besides the sizing, so I would definitely make more crocheted garments. So I think that's all that I have to say about the sweater. So let me change real quick and let's get to ripping. Okay, new sweater on. This is a knit sweater. This is Boxy, the fingering weight version by Joji Locatelli. This is my absolute favorite sweater. It is extremely forgiving because it's so big that you can be way off on the shaping and the size and it's okay. Love that. Except the neck might be too big, but I love this sweater, so we're gonna rip out a sweater while in a sweater. I can't wait. I have some tools here to help me. I have these, oh, they got fuzz on them, these sharp scissors, which will help to kind of get things started and start ripping. I also brought my pouch of notions up because I'm going to use probably a pretty fat, like metal tapestry needle, and that's gonna be to unpick some of my ends so that I can avoid having to cut into them if I can find them. That would be great. Yeah, so I've got my mic, I have my questions on my computer right here, checked my teeth, which I don't usually show you guys that behind the scenes here. So I think we are ready to start ripping. So I am actually going to start with this decoration here on the sleeves, this little lacy bit, because that was the very last part that I did. And once I get both of those little lacy bits ripped out, then I can go to the bottom of the sweater and work backwards literally all the way up to the top. I just have 2 balls of yarn that I will be alternating. So let's get the sleeves ripped out and I will start answering some questions. So I'm just going to flip the whole thing inside out so that I can be on the inside, and then we're going to start looking for the end of the sleeve because I really don't know where it is. Okay, I think I found where it's going to be. I'm just going to start like pulling here and finding any thread that will come out. That's where this is going to come in handy because I'm going to be able to pull on it to pull it out. Okay, I went ahead and got both sleeves ends found. Sounds like the garbage truck, because that was a little tricky. And so now I have plenty of time to wind while I am talking for at least a couple minutes. So I'm just going to show you guys how I hand wind yarn. So I usually start with these 2 fingers. I kind of place the yarn in between my fingers. That's not true. I guess I pinch it between my middle and my thumb and then use this one to start to wind. So I'll wind around these 2 fingers, I don't know, a few times. This is not going to be a very big ball. And then I will sort of take it off, pinch it like in the middle, and wrap around that way for a minute so that it's kind of just like this little bunchy thing. And then I'll start to go around it in different directions, changing it every few winds, which kind of starts to make it go into a ball. But that's the best way, I think, when you're ripping something. You can, I guess, wind it straight onto a cake. If you're really good, which I'm not going to do, you can rewind it into hanks so that you could then soak it and get all the kinks out. But I'm not going to do that because who has time for that? I don't have a skein winder anyway. So every few like turns, I'm just like taking it and I'm rotating it. And then every once in a while I'll also flip it so that the ball is getting evenly wound. I would not say I'm really good at winding yarn into balls. I wish I could make those beautiful, beautiful gobstopper balls, but I'm actually almost done with the sleeve, so I guess I better get started on the second sleeve, and maybe I can answer one question here. Let's see. Let's see, what is my favorite yarn weight to use? Fingering weight, which is why I changed this to fingering weight, even though it was supposed to be something else, because I just love, especially for garments, fingering weight. This is a fingering weight sweater. I think especially in crochet because it can be so dense. Fingering weight is just perfect because it makes really beautiful fabric. So fingering weight is definitely my favorite. Oh, thought we were done with that sleeve. Almost there. What else do we have? What's my most recent FO? Well, I should actually be finishing something today. Hopefully I'm going to be finishing Stephanie's Soundwave shawl, which is a crocheted shawl with mohair. It is so, so cool. I'm testing that for her. But before that, I finished some of my Yarn Cozy Lights. That's my most recent. I haven't had a big finish in a while, but I think April will be a pretty good month. So there we go. One sleeve completely gone. This is the wrong side. This ball is like stuck into here. So I'm guessing it's woven in here somehow, but I'll come back to that. I think let's go to the other sleeve since I've already gotten that one started, and we'll start a new ball. Okay, next question was, do you still have your first socks and are you happy with them now? So I actually do still have my first socks. The first socks that I ever made, I think was in, I don't know. I want to say I was like 15 or 16, which would make it, math is hard. I don't know, a while ago, probably like 2008, I think. And I do still have my first socks. I knit them out of self-striping, self-patterning yarn, and miraculously, they actually matched. I didn't even know how to do that on purpose, but they just happened to turn out that way. They were that one big like skein, so it wasn't any like two skeins that match perfectly. I don't even know how it happened, but I remember I made them on US size 2s. I did double pointed needles, a hill flap, and a gusset, and I think that I didn't know how to graft yet. The pattern had you at the very at the very end, it had you just like draw through it like the top of a hat, which is not very comfortable with socks. So I don't really wear them that much, but I do still hang on to them. They still fit, and it's kind of fun to look back at them. Okay, both sleeves, oh wait, no, this one's not done yet. I thought it was done, but it tricked me. It just got caught a little bit. So let's see if I can find another question in the meantime. How many hours do you knit or crochet per day? Well, that question is going to be answered differently now that I am home and working at home, because it's a lot higher than it normally would be. So I would say right now I am probably knitting and crocheting between 5 and 6 hours a day. I knit and crochet like during meetings a lot, especially when I just have to listen. And I also do at night. And then I also was working on a test crochet, so that was making me knit and crochet a lot more. On the weekends, I'm probably knitting or crocheting maybe even a little bit more, and I try to space it out, take a lot of breaks just to stay healthy, because that's a lot of knitting and crochet. All right, I gotta figure out what's going on here. Okay, one ball has completely detached itself from the sweater. So that is one sleeve down all the way. And I can put that into my pile to use later. And here's the second ball. I thought it was attached, but I guess if that end was woven in, I was able to just pull it out. So sleeves completely out, and now it's time to start on the body of the sweater. So since this was knit from the top down, I'm going to start at the bottom, and I mean, that looks like my beginning of round. I was alternating skeins so that it would blend well. So I just need to start looking for my end here. And once I find that, then I should be cruising for a while. Okay, I have my 2 ends from the bottom, and I have 2 ends. There's one that's going. I have a second one that's going to come up on the next row here because I was alternating my yarns, although that might be woven in. Oh gosh, I will just have to see, but I'm going to start on this one here, and I might even switch over to an angle where you can see me rip while I answer questions, because I don't know, I feel like that might be kind of satisfying. Maybe if you have something that you've been meaning to frog and you haven't been, you can go grab it, and while you're watching this video of me frogging, you can rip something out too. So yeah, let's switch to an angle where you can really see, and I'm gonna answer some more questions. All right, how was that? Sitting in like a half split here. Hopefully you can hear me just fine because I've got the mic on, but here we go, ripping out this sweater. So the next question here is, what do I like to watch and listen while I knit and crochet? Well, I do like to listen to a handful of knitting podcasts. I'm actually really excited because I am going to be introducing some different knitting and crochet podcasts, and also some of the ones that you probably know and love here over the next while, because I'm going to be collaborating. I'm so excited. Okay, wait. There's one. Now let's see. Now I'm going to start in on my second ball because I was alternating skeins. So you can see this one like stops right there, and that's when this one starts. So that's why you're going to see me with 2. Anywho, okay, so I really like to watch. I like to watch the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. I like to watch Amy Florence every Thursday. I like to watch, a bunch. Suburban Stitcher, and then there's a ton of new ones I'm finding out. Of course, I like the Grocery Girls. I like Yarn Hoarder when she has podcasts. She's one of my favorite ones. And I like to watch more than just knitting podcasts though, usually at night with my family. I have been watching, we've been watching a handful of different things. We've been watching, well, we just finished something. Hold on, darn it. What is happening here? Do I have a third ball in here? Oh my goodness gracious. I have a third ball of yarn. You guys. Who did this to me? I have a third ball of yarn. I feel like I sort of remember that because here are my 2. Okay, you really can't see that. I have 2 that have just finished and nothing. So now I have to find the third end. Just getting it started is the hardest part. Found it. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, back to ripping. Now we've got 3 balls in action here. This is insane. I really don't remember doing this. But we just finished as a family Lock and Key, which was so good. Go watch it. It's probably not super appropriate for kids because there are, like for young kids, because there are some curse words and just some like bad things happening in general, and also some scary things. But for your older kids, maybe like teenagers, they should be just fine. And as an adult, it was great. It wasn't too scary, but I really did like the show. We've also, what? This is just like a mystery. I don't even know what's happening anymore. This is going so much weirder than I thought. Maybe you'll appreciate my face in this then, so you can see my reaction as I'm trying to figure out what on earth was going on at the end of this. I don't know if I was running out of yarn, because I really thought, I guess when I redid this, I used like a bunch of different balls. I just threw that last one over here because I was so irritated. What in the world? I will keep everything because, like I said, I am planning to do another project, but that's why I'm taking care to pull all these ends out. There we go, got another one started. But I will only use the largest like amounts that I have together until I absolutely have to use the smaller ones. So, oh my goodness. But there is one other thing. that I like to watch, and that is cleaning videos. I love watching cleaning videos and like just other lifestyle videos. I will definitely have some recommendations for you guys coming up because I am starting my own cleaning and lifestyle channel. It's called This and Nat. If you want to go check it out, I can link it below. But it only has an intro video up right now because I'm launching it on April 25th. Which is a Saturday. I'm going to do a premiere with my weekly cleaning routine because that has been something that has been asked over on my Instagram for Knitty Natty for some time. And so I decided that I wanted to do like a whole channel just committed to that. So I'm very, very excited. But now we are rocking and rolling. So let me find another question. Okay, this question is, how big is your yarn stash and will it help you get through the shelter in place time? So my yarn stash has actually diminished. I did a clearing out my yarn stash video not too long ago. I'll try to remember to link that. I did like a whole simplifying my yarn room. I got rid of a lot of yarn some to donate to you guys, which I still have in the yarn room. I just know it's not mine anymore, and some to donate to my kids at school, which I do feel sad about because I'm not going to be able to give it to them at this point because we're not going back to school this school year. There's also a group of kids that I never got to teach to knit, which I feel really sad about because I had two groups of crochet, a 4th and a 5th grade group, and then I was going to have two groups of knitting when I came back to school. But that just didn't happen. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I have their yarn already purchased. I'm definitely going to give them their yarn or, give them their money back for that if they don't want to take the yarn. But I feel really sad that I won't be able to do that for them. For the 4th graders, yes, but not for the 5th graders. There's another tiny ball. I literally, I don't know. I don't know. But now we're back to just 2 balls of yarn here. So all the ribbing is out and 2 balls of yarn. So here we go. At some point I'm going to stop here and like take another picture because I think that'll be funny with it like halfway ripped out to see what it looks like. Whoa. But what was the question? I forgot. Hold on. Okay, sadly, I just cannot figure out what is going on here. So I got my scissors. I know that neither of these 2 balls that I am working with is the one. But I know that this one, like that I can just barely pull out. I just can't find the end. Ooh, that's a lot of hair. I just can't find the end. So I am going to snip it. And I know this means that eventually I will hopefully just have a tiny end, but if I've done it wrong, I will have a larger end. Still, no biggie. I've got to start ripping this out somehow. Oh, weird. Weird. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what is happening. It was so funny. Ripping things out sometimes. It's a little bit of a headache, but I would rather have this yarn than not have the yarn because I want to be able to make something pretty with it. This is pretty. I'm not saying that this is not pretty, but it's not functioning for me right now, so it's got to come out. Okay, let's go on to a new question. Okay, this question is, what is your bucket list knit? So this would be a project that you really, really want to work on. Something that's like, I don't know, you want to make before, I guess, you're no longer knitting. I want to hear yours. So if you have an answer to this question, why don't you put it in the comments? Because I would really, really love to hear that. But mine would probably be right now, I want to make the All of the Lights cardigan by Joji Locatelli. It's this beautiful cabled cardigan. I think it's in like DK weight. And there's no reason that I can't make it right now. I think I even have enough yarn in stash. But she uses a hand-dyed yarn. Oh my gosh, so pretty. But it looks like so much fun. So right now, that's definitely the one for me. For a while, it was a wedding shawl, a wedding ring shawl. That was something that I always wanted to make, was a wedding ring shawl. Oh my goodness. 3 balls of yarn. I figured out my mistake from before, and now I know what I did wrong. Oops. But we're back and rolling with our 3 balls of yarn. So I wanted to make a wedding ring shawl, which is a shawl that is knit out of lace or fingering weight or lace or cobweb weight. And it is so fine that you can pull it through a wedding band. And so there was this one that was like very, I don't know, traditional. And I had cobweb weight yarn, and I tried working on it. This was even before I met my husband or dated him. And it was just too tricky. And then by the time that I knew I was going to get married and we got engaged, I only had 4 months. We were engaged for 4 months, so I did not have enough time to make a traditional cobweb weight shawl. So I went with another pattern, which is just as beautiful, and it was beaded, it was lace weight, and I went through that thing fast because I was ready to get it ready for my wedding, and it turned out so great. So it hangs above my yarn shelf in my yarn room, and I have it on basically some cotton yarn so that it doesn't get too stretched out hanging, because before I just had it in a plastic Ziploc and I didn't feel like that was a place that it needed to be. So yep, that was kind of a one bucket list knit that I've already made. And then my one that I want to make is the All of the Lights cardigan by Joji Locatelli. Okay, circling back to a question I might have said but didn't answer. So how big is your stash and will it last you? So I did talk about my stash, and then I think that's when I ran into a snag. So I have a decent sized stash. I definitely have enough to make it through quarantine, even if quarantine lasts for like till the end of the year. I definitely have enough. However, when I did simplify it, I did get rid of a lot and said that it wasn't going to be mine, and I stand by that. I don't think I would need to dip into it for any reason. Once I've decided something is going to go, even if it's still in my house, like I don't take it back. So I am, however, running really low on a certain type of yarn, and that is fingering weight single ply. 3 out of 4 current whips. It's hard to think and do this, but I'm having a good time. It's a good brain challenge. 3 out of my 4 whips are all single ply. And so that means that my little square on my shelf that was single ply is nearly empty. I think there's like 4 or 5 full skeins and then a couple of partials wound into balls behind it. So that's pretty crazy. I am going through that. So I almost want to just like finish off all my single ply yarn so that I can just rearrange things and only get more single ply when I'm ready to make something. But I really love knitting with single ply and crocheting too. One of the projects is a crochet single ply project. It doesn't have to be single ply. That's just what I picked, and it is looking so pretty. That is actually the one that I'm hoping to finish today. Okay guys, I think I'm in a good groove, so I might cut to show you guys this again and stop to take a picture before I come back and answer some more questions. Okay, while I was standing up, and there we go. This is all the behind the scenes that you wanted, right? While I was standing up and taking pictures, I got the ridiculous idea to try to unwind it while it was on me. And honestly, that didn't go too poorly. It would have been easier if there was somebody else and I didn't have 3 balls of yarn going, which is really proving to be difficult because they tangle already. But then when they're like this, they kind of like tangle up into each other. So I'm going to keep it on the ground here and see if I can't keep on going. But I feel like I still didn't finish that one question about will my stash make it through. I feel like it will. Oh no, I did answer that. Oh my gosh. I'm not very good at multitasking, clearly. All right, let's see if there's another question. Okay, what's my favorite handmade piece to wear? I think it's this, my Boxy by Joji Locatelli. I would love to have another one. They're really easy to make. I made this one so fast. I can't say it's a fast piece because it is a lot of knitting, especially because it is so oversized. But since it is all knitting, you can kind of take it with you anywhere. And if you make it in the round, which I did, you can just like all knit, like no purling after you get through the ribbing. It's just all knitting, and that makes it super fast. So I think I made this one in just over a month, which is pretty quick considering how much yarn and how many stitches there were. And so I could make up another one at a reasonable time, but I don't know. I don't have the right yarn for it right now. I feel like it really needs something that's light and not necessarily superwash because it will stretch out a lot. And I don't think I have anything like that in a color that I like right now. So this is definitely my most worn piece besides actually another Joji pattern, which I just finished last year, which is the Like a Cloud cardigan. I love that one. It's actually hanging over the back of my chair downstairs where I have been working because I just wear it that much. It's so comfortable and I just love it. Okay, I think at some point my husband came in here and threw the pillows off the bed because I could have sworn he made the bed completely this morning, and then when I stood up to take pictures, the decorative pillows were gone. So I'm gonna have to go back to the beginning of this video and see what was actually going on because I feel like I'm going crazy now. But I think I've developed a system here where I keep 2 balls of yarn over to the side and just the one that I need is coming from underneath. Let's see. Is it gonna work? Yes. There we go. Success. I'm figuring this out. Frogging alone. I feel like I'm not frogging alone right now. Hopefully you feel like you're not frogging alone if you have to frog too. Okay, what is your longest whip? So I have one that's a finished object now that was my longest whip. It was a blanket. I did this as a knit along with my local yarn store, Bliss Yarns, so many years ago. So it was great. It was a yarn store knit along, and it was from a book called 200 Colored Blocks or Colorful Blocks or something like that. And it was different blocks that had all kinds of different techniques, different colors. I mean, it was just basically like a sampler Afghan, but with like more to it because you did all these different blocks. Now, we didn't make 200 blocks. I can't remember exactly how many that we made. But it was a lot of blocks, and through that I learned so many different techniques, a lot that I could leave that I don't need to do again, but a lot that I didn't know before, and I feel like that was super valuable, and it was super valuable to a lot of our customers too. So I did all of the blocks. I think we did like a block a week or 2 blocks a week it was a worsted weight, so it didn't take that long to do the 2 blocks for, I don't know, let's say we did 2 blocks a week for 12 weeks, which would be, no, that's not right. We did it for a while. We had a lot of blocks. And then those blocks sat for years and years and years and years. And I would take them out and I think one day I took them out and I arranged them all and kind of put like little like stacks, like this is strip 1, strip 2. And then I think they sat for many more years. And then I think eventually one year I actually took it out and I sewed all the strips, and then maybe another little bit of time goes by and I sewed all the strips together, and then it sat for the longest when I needed to decide on a border. I wanted to do a border to kind of tie it all together, and then I was hoping that I could get it fabric backed and the fabric sewn into the border so that you didn't see the back of all these squares, because they were all in stockinette, which means that they didn't look super pretty on the wrong side. They were definitely meant to be one-sided. And so I wanted a good border, and I tested out so many things. I kind of wanted to crochet it. Well, I kind of wanted to do an I-cord edging, and then I thought, no, if I crochet it'll be faster. And honestly, I don't even know what I ended up doing, but one day I did sit down and decide, and then it took me a couple days to do the border, and it was finally finished. And then you know what? I have no idea what happened to that blanket. I can't remember if I gave it to somebody or if I put it away somewhere because it just took so much time. I honestly don't know right now, like where that blanket is. But that was my longest ever whip. My current, like a whip that's current, that is my oldest, I think is my scrappy granny stripe blanket, or it's my Cozy Memories. It's one of my scrap projects because I have a knit one and 2 crochet ones, and I think either the Cozy Memories or my granny stripe blanket is the longest one. Okay, have you tried or learned anything new while at home? That's another one that I would love, love, love to hear from you guys. So definitely comment if you have learned something new since you've been at home. I know when we did the Zoom call, lots of people had cool new things that they have learned since they've been at home. But I have learned a little bit, I think. Oops, that's not the right one. Hold on. I have learned how to crochet with mohair recently. I feel like I did something else new too that was like knitting or crochet related, that I tried something. I don't know, but something that I want to do is to crochet a pair of socks. I wanted to do that for forever, and honestly, there's no time like now to actually give something like that a try. Oh, I know what it is. It's not knitting or crochet related, but sort of Knitty Natty related. I have learned now how to use Canva, which is an online, like kind of sort of photoshopping, like you don't really edit photos, but you like make graphics and stuff with it. And so I have learned how to do that. And that's what's helped me to make different kinds of thumbnails, which I'm working on narrowing down what I want them to look like. And what's helped me like add in like my Instagram name and stuff to the videos. So cool. I did not know how to do that before, and I feel really proud that now I know how to do it, because Canva can be a little bit confusing. So yeah, there's two things that are new that I've tried and liked since I have been home. So yeah, let me know what you guys have tried. I'm really interested to hear about that. Okay, wait, what was the question? Your favorite colors to knit with. So currently, favorite color is like anything that's like dusty pink or purple. Like last year, this was like the color of the year for me. But since then, I've kind of moved into like my Tanya was more purple. I really like that. I have a t-shirt that's kind of like that, like very light purple. So I just love like, I don't know, I love pink in general. Most pinks I like. There's not many pinks that I don't like, except for like the pink crayon, like pink I don't really love. I like the pink crayon that's like, what's it called? It has a different name and it's lighter, and I like it better. It has more white in it, I think. I don't know about colors, but that's the kind of pink that I love, but I also love dusty pink. So I feel like I tend to knit with those colors. However, if you look at my stash, I've got all kinds of stuff because I've been collecting for years. And that's another reason why I'd really like to work through my stash, so that instead of having so many yarns from like Natalie's past, things that I liked before, I can have yarns that I'm like in love with currently. And then, you know, as my tastes change, I can be working on projects always that are interesting to me in the moment. I don't think that'll totally save me from, you know, making some things that I'm not totally into, but I think that will certainly help if I don't have so much stuff in my stash. Okay, this question is so good. I wish I had asked it in the Zoom, but it's what is a knitting skill that intimidates you, makes you like nervous, that you haven't tried, or one that you have tried and conquered? So I know there's so many things that I've never tried. I have one skill is steeking, which I have sort of done it in a swatch, but I've never done it on a sweater. That definitely intimidates me, but it's not something that I'm likely to try because the types of sweaters that are steeked are just not my style. So I haven't had a need to like conquer that one yet. I would say brioche was probably a fear for me before I tried it, but then there's a lot of stuff in crochet that I really want to try. I'm not necessarily afraid of them, but I just haven't done it yet. I really want to try Tunisian crochet for garments and shawls because it looks a lot like knitting, and I just haven't done that yet. And I want to try color work. There's like amazing color work crochet, like yoked sweaters, all the same stuff that's super popular in knitting in crochet, and it's so cool because I think a lot of people don't always see that. And you know what crochet has kind of grown from, and knitting too, in the past like 30 or so years, it has changed a lot. So crochet for sure is getting so modern and so exciting. So that's, you know, I'd like to really master some more skills in crochet just because I feel like I have a lot more that I haven't gotten to try yet there. Okay, I'm back. I needed to just rip for a minute without trying to talk at the same time, and we're making some headway. I'll be honest, this is taking a little longer than I thought. I think it's because I have 3 different balls of yarn going. I really remember making that decision at the time and thinking it rational, but now I don't know why. I don't know if my yarns were just so different that I had to blend them in together or not. But because the balls of yarn are becoming bigger, it's faster to wind them because more circumference or something, I don't know, science, math, whatever, but it is becoming a little bit faster row by row. So I don't have too many questions left, so I might just have to come up with some things to chat about on my own, which I am not too bad at. So let's keep on going. Okay, this next one is totally random. It's what would your last meal be? So I know that means like what would you want your, like if you knew it was your last meal, what's your favorite meal? Because I think if I knew it was my last meal, I wouldn't be able to eat at all. But my favorite meal, I don't know. There's so many things that I just love. Like I love food. So I'll just talk about all kinds of meals because I think this might be one of the last questions. So my favorite meal, what would it be? It would probably have to have macaroni and cheese, maybe steak, and mashed potatoes. I love comfort food so much, like Southern comfort food. I know steak really isn't one of those, but I would throw the steak in there because I really like filet mignon. Filet mignon. I never had tried that until college, and I really, really like it. I mean, when you grow up in a family of 6, you don't often go and get filet mignon anywhere, but man, I really, really like that. So yeah, probably steak, mac and cheese, and mashed potatoes with brown gravy. I love mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. But whenever we travel, and we're outside of Texas and we come back to Texas, we pretty much always go to Whataburger or Whataburger. I think it's Whataburger, but Whataburger. Now I don't know how to say it. I'm not a Texan, so I'm probably not saying it right, Whataburger. But Whataburger is just a fast food restaurant. They have burgers. They have this thing called a honey butter chicken biscuit. Which is served from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and it's so good. But usually when we come back from traveling, it's late. So we'll go and we'll get a meal at Whataburger, and I like to get a patty melt or I like to get the mushroom Swiss burger, which is now an all-time favorite. If you know what Whataburger is, you're probably really excited. If you don't, you probably are like, what is she talking about? But I love getting that when we come back to Texas. And then since I'm on this train, when I go home and I visit Tennessee outside of Nashville where I grew up, there's a couple of places that I like to go. One of these places is in Franklin. I think it's called, Stroud's. It's a barbecue place. Barbecue in Tennessee is very different than barbecue in Texas. Both are good, but this is like a pulled pork barbecue type of place, and the pork is good, the sides are good, but the thing that really makes this place amazing is they have these muffins. They're not like sweet muffins, they're savory muffins, and they're kind of like a cross between a roll and cornbread. Like if you don't like cornbread, you might still like these. If you don't like rolls, you might still like, they are just, I think they're like yeast rolls, but I don't know. There's something about the way that they make them that I could probably eat a dozen. So whenever I go visit home, I have to go to Stroud's. It is my favorite. Okay, straight needles or circular needles? I definitely like straight needles. Wait, this is how I know I can't multitask. I meant to say circular. I definitely like circular needles. I think that they're just much more comfortable. I think learned to knit on straight needles, as I'm sure most people did, but I think that people can learn on circular needles too. So I have taught people to knit on circular and straight needles, and both are very successful. But I think if you stick around for knitting, most people are going to go over to the circular needles. I think they're just, because they're shorter, it's easier to handle. And then also you can do so many more things. You can knit in the round with them. You can buy sets so that you always have the needles that you need. They're just much more versatile. Okay, where do you like to buy yarn and what company and brand? So I haven't really bought a lot of yarn in a long time. I think the last time that I bought yarn, like I have bought yarn at places like big box stores for my students or for a very specific project, like I did a charity blanket last year. But besides that, I think the last time that I bought yarn was when I went to the Knitting in the Hills retreat in 2019. I did go to the same retreat this year, but I actually did not buy any yarn. Oh my gosh. If I can be down to just 2 balls of yarn, I will be so happy right now. Please, 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 fingers crossed that I just have these 2 and not another one to join in. I think I might, because here is where I was moving around, like I was changing them around. I was trying to do basically like helical knitting, but in crochet. And you can't see it on the outside. Like, it worked fine. It's nice and stretchy. But oh my gosh, if I can just be down to 2 balls of yarn, oh, that would be so great. Okay, I think I am. Woohoo! Anyway, I probably haven't bought yarn since then in 2019. I don't know if that's 100% true. Like, I used to buy a lot of yarn when we would travel. I would buy yarn at shows. I probably did, you know what? I probably did buy yarn in April of 2019 at DFW Fiberfest. And that's not to say that I haven't obtained yarn. I just maybe haven't bought yarn because sometimes when I design something with a dyer, they will send me yarn. So I do get new yarn, but I don't always like seek it out and buy it. So I don't know. I would say, I guess I'm the kind of person that buys yarn at festivals mostly, but there are some great local shops like McKinney Knittery I do love, and maybe I did buy some yarn at McKinney Knittery because I feel like I remember buying yarn to make my brother a hat for Christmas. So maybe I'm getting my years mixed up though. I really can't remember. I have really been on a sort of unintentional like yarn buying freeze, and that has helped me with my goal of kind of dwindling down my stash to nothing. So yeah, I guess I like to buy yarn from hand dyers and not from places like Joann's and Michael's, just because the types of yarn that I like most are sold from hand dyers. So that's not to say that that won't change, but that's what I tend to do right now. I like lots and lots of dyers. I really don't have any dyers, I think, that I don't like, because I think everyone makes beautiful yarn. Oh, and I have bought advent calendar yarn. Actually, I bought yarn the other day because I already bought my yarn advent calendar for Christmas from Dragon Hoard Yarn and Yarn Cafe Creations, but that yarn won't arrive until probably November or October, so I don't really know if that counts. Okay, I'm so close to being at the part where I'm done with like the body, and then there are going to be some really long rows for a minute, but I also see an end peeking out right here, so I might just go ahead and pull that out so it doesn't like surprise me later. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's like a mystery. When you didn't just make this, it's like, who knows what is even going to happen. No. I feel like this means there's a third ball of yarn. No. But look at this. We have a yoke. Isn't that crazy what that looks like? I mean, this is just entirely too big for me, but I definitely think this is an opportunity to get another silly photo, so I'll be right back. Too big. Like, look how ridiculous this is. I mean, I know it's supposed to have ruffles, but come on. Okay, I'm finally down to a reasonable amount to like set back in my lap. Only have 2 skeins going, which makes it a lot easier. I was standing up, that was seeming to make it a little better too, and then I would like step on it a little bit, but don't worry, I have on shoes that I only wear in the house, so they're really not super dirty, kind of like wearing slippers. But this is just really taking a long time. And I think I am out of questions that were from that Zoom call. So I'm going to do some other questions that I have found that are good for like the time that we're in. So one of the questions is, what are you most excited about when we can leave our houses again? So there's so many things that I'm excited for. I think one of them is funnily enough, to be home alone. I'm pretty excited about that. I do love being home alone. I've actually gotten a lot of alone time today, and gotten a lot done, and that's made me feel very energized and refreshed since I've been in here for like the last 2 hours unwinding this sweater here. I guess I didn't realize that I think there's actually 5 skeins of yarn in here, these 2, and then I thought there was just 4 full skeins. So it kind of makes sense why it's taking so long, because that is a lot of yarn to hand wind just if it was on a Swift. So that's one of the things, is actually being alone in my own house again. The other thing is, I don't know, there's so many things. Sports. I'm excited for sports. I love going to watch sports. I love college football. I know it's definitely going to be affected, but how much? I don't know. But I know that my husband can't miss his sports so much, and for him and all the other guys and all the people that play and all the people that miss their senior year, that just makes me really sad. So I hope that that can be one thing that will bring people a lot of joy when the world starts its return to normal. And then I miss, what else do I miss? I miss going to the park. I miss meeting my friends for actual in-person knitting. Although the virtual ones have been really fun, and I think one of the great things that's going to come out of this is that we will know how to socialize better, like at a distance. So, you know, these Zoom calls and stuff, like they don't have to stop, like just because you can go see people in person. You can see, you know, your friends that do live in other states more often, or other countries, and I think that's a really fun thing, that we're all going to be maybe a little more technologically savvy and more likely to reach out in that way. So that's definitely a positive. So I'm wondering if you guys have any tips for ripping things out, if you know like good things that you can do. Like I know there's that mohair tip where you can put your yarn in the freezer so that it makes mohair easier to rip, but what other kind of tips and tricks do you have? Would you be sitting on the floor like me, or would you be on the table, or maybe on a bed? It was kind of nice. I put it up there so it was like a better height for me for a while. So leave your tips down below, because while this is the only thing I have planned to rip out right now, I'm sure that in the future I will have other things, other projects that I have to rip out. If you watched my Knitting in the Hills vlog, you saw me rip. It wasn't a completed item, but it was a good portion of a shawl, and that just happens. It just happens, and better to get them ripped out than to leave them in. So if you're ripping anything out, it will become something better, and it won't be hanging over you, because you may feel like it's not bothering you, but I bet in the back of your mind, or when you see that bag on the floor or in the cabinet, that it does bother you. Okay, so as for what's coming up for this yarn. I think that I'm going to knit a cardigan. I know I wear my knit cardigans a lot, and there is one that I would love to make. Actually, funnily enough, it is by Joji Locatelli, which I was telling you, this is by Joji, and one of my other favorite sweaters is by Joji. So if that's not a sign, I think that this would be a good choice for me. And that pattern is called Old Romance. It is a pretty classic shaped cardigan with these lace panels running down the sleeves. And I love, love lace. The lace is actually done in a different color, but I looked through the projects and there's lots of them that have just one color for the entire piece. I've got plenty of yarn now because I thought I only had 4 skeins, which would give me 1,600-ish or so more yards, but I actually have 5 skeins, so I should be able to make I should be able to make any size, like oversized for myself if I want to. I haven't actually bought the pattern yet because I'm not sure when I'm going to start it, but we'll have to see what size I actually need to make in order to fit me. I don't want it to be too tight, but I don't want it to be sloppy either. And it actually uses or suggests Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and that's exactly what I have. So that's funny, I didn't even know that. I just knew it was a fingering weight sweater. So that's definitely a possibility. I think it would look really beautiful in this like light pink yarn. I mean, it's called Old Romance, so that seems pretty romantic to me. You guys, all that is left now is the ribbing. I have 3 rounds to go. Only on 1 ball of yarn now. Oh my gosh, I feel like I have learned some things. If you're gonna rip out an entire sweater, especially one that is a lot of fingering weight yarn, like 4 more skeins, then maybe you'll want to put on like a movie, a really long one that you like a lot, so that you're distracted while you are doing this. Or when we can go back out in the world again, take it to your local knit night because you need a distraction. I feel tired, I feel cranky, I feel hungry and thirsty, and I have to go to the bathroom. And obviously I could get up and go to the bathroom, but I'm so darn determined to finish this thing. That's how this is making me feel. But you know what? It's so worth it that it's finally going to be out so that I can actually make something else out of it. And I'm getting to the point where I have that last little end, the one from my cast on or from my chain. So let me get this one out, and then we're going to pull out those last few stitches, glorious last few stitches together. Okay, it's the foundation row. I didn't even realize this started with a foundation chain. I totally forgot. So here we go. Here is the last of it in all its glory. Can you hear? I don't know if that's a satisfactory sound or not, but boy, am I happy. Because after this, I'm going to change into some comfy clothes, and I'm going to go on a walk with Toaster and my husband. And there it is, the slip knot. Oh my goodness, you guys. So at the end, we have what looks like, these look like 2 full skeins of yarn, 3 that are more like partial. I do think I use this yarn to make another project, like a hat. So I think I don't have, even if I put these together, 5 full skeins, but hey, that's all right. We made it to the end. Hopefully that was interesting. You got to see me rip. Maybe you learned some tips. Maybe you learned something about me as I answered those questions. Either way, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll be back on Thursday with a new podcast episode, and hopefully this weekend with something live. So I will see you guys then. Bye.